Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Project Veritas has done it again. One of their undercover reporters got New York Times national security reporter Matt Rosenberg to offer some rather surprising remarks about January 6th. He was there, and he spent most of the time, at least the time that's recorded, talking about the left's overreaction to January 6th. Matt Rosenberg, New York Times national security reporter, Pulitzer Prize winner, talking about the left's overreaction to January 6th.
It's like January 6th stuff that is like so over at this point. It's so over. The left's overreaction, the left's reaction to it in some places was so over the top. It was like me and two other colleagues who were there, who were outside. And we were just like, dude, come on. Like, you were not in any danger.
Come on, we were not in any danger.
Are you allowed to have that much fun on January 6th? Are you supposed to be mourning?
I know. So if you're traumatized. But like, I mean, all these colleagues who were in the building, a little younger, who's like, oh my God, it's so scary. I'm like, oh, God.
Is that really the vibe there?
From them. I'm like, come on. Like, it's not the kind of place I can say tell somebody to man up, but I kind of want to. You're like, dude, come on. Like, you were not in any danger.
Colleagues in the building, I'm like, who are all, I'm so scared. And this is Matt Rosenberg saying, and I'm like, I didn't want to say man up, but it's like, come on, you're not in any danger. On making it some grand conspiracy at which Trump was the head.
Who's inside?
Little dweebs who keep going on about their trauma. I'm like, guys, shut the f*** up. I don't know if they wrote about their trauma. This chick named Emily Cochran and this guy named Nick Fandos. They're both like in their 20s. Like, can we do like part 2 of that? Like what's going on in the years from January 6th? Kind of like memory holing it. Like maybe it's no big deal. Yeah, we can do that. A little quick turnaround. So we've been doing the last few days. That's the story. But it's in a meeting. I'm like, one of the issues here is that, like, the Fox News of the world and elsewhere is that the left's overreaction, the left's reaction to it in some places was so over the top that it gave the opening, the right even, to start introducing the idea of, well, these people are out of control. Like, it's not a big deal as they're making it. Because they were making it too big a deal. They were making this an organized thing that it wasn't. And that gave the opening for the lunatics on the right to be like, oh, well, nothing happened here. It was just a peaceful bunch of tourists, And it's like, this is...
Yeah, so the left, so you heard him say, just so it's clear, because you've got that ambient noise in the background like it's an NPR set or something. The left's overreaction, and it was an overreaction, Rosenberg said, gave quarter to some on the right to say, oh, nothing happened here, it was a peaceful thing in the park. And nobody, no serious person is saying nothing happened on January 6th. Nobody's saying that. So that's still Rosenberg now falling back on his, characterization of, sort of extremists on both sides, and I'm here in the sensible middle, which, generally speaking, he's not really. But that's why these statements are remarkable, and of course would only be made if he didn't know he was making them on tape. Also, he said this.
But nobody was here. There were a ton of FBI informants on the people who attacked the Capitol. That was not the right one.
Whoa.
The CIA, NSA, because like, if you work there, you get polygraphs every year, and you're asked if you've spoken to a reporter. If your answer is anything but no, you're in big trouble. You're often talking to former people who are talking to people who are still there.
It was FBI informants were there with those in the Capitol. It was us. He's talking about reporters, not right-wing guys. And then you heard him mention NSA, CIA. I don't know the details. He didn't go into details from what I was able to view about what exactly he meant by that, or what he thinks happened, or what he thinks law enforcement or intel agencies had to do with January 6th. But the fact that he raises the specter of their presence at all. Now, will this be covered by the 1-6 Commission?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, will they be raising these issues? Matt Rosenberg, New York Times. Not some, Trump supporter, not some radio talk show host. Matt Rosenberg, Pulitzer Prize winning national security reporter for the New York Times.
Wow.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined again by Mary Miller. She's a congresswoman from Southern Illinois running for re-election, and she's got a primary against Rodney Davis, Central Illinois Republican congressman who voted for the 1-6 Commission. So this is a particular issue for that primary campaign. Mary, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me.
How about Matt Rosenberg's comments there to one of James O'Keefe's undercover reporters about January 6th? Sort of surprising that Rosenberg would make such statements. I don't know that they're surprising in terms of a balanced understanding of what we know to be true about January 6th, but to hear it come from Matt Rosenberg at the New York Times, that's a big deal.
I'm not surprised at all. I say praise God for James O'Keefe and the wonderful undercover work he's doing. These people are deceivers, and they're involved in theater, and I'm thrilled when they get caught.
And again, this is not to say, I assume you agree, nothing happened on January 6th. This is to say the full accounting of what happened on January 6th and at whose hands it happened is what's required.
Right. Exactly. Well, they've been spinning a narrative from day one, and what needs to be said every day is that President Trump wanted National Guard troops there, and Pelosi refused to bring them. And why people need to every day be blaming her.
Now, were you there the day on January 6th?
I was there, and I was waiting for President Trump to show up at the rally, and then I had to leave because I had to go vote. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit of a distance, and I got a ride. And, you know, on my way back to the Capitol, I passed President Trump's motorcade. So he had not arrived yet to speak. But when I got to the Capitol, there was a group already there at the Capitol. The group that was closest to the Capitol building was already there.
And what group was it? Do you know? Was it Proud Boys? Do you know who they were?
I don't know who they were, but my point is because they want to say that it was his speech that incited people to go in there and whatever. But there were people already there.
Switching gears now, talking about Ukrainian policy. Mitch McConnell and a group of senators yesterday said we've come to agreement on $14 billion in aid to the Ukrainians, and this needs to get passed post-haste. Are you on board for that?
Well, my heart is with Ukraine, with the people of Ukraine. We're praying for them. What they're wanting to do is tuck that into another massive spending bill. They refuse to shut our own border, and I say let's get our own border shut. We know that over 2,000 Russian foreign nationals have crossed the border. We are vulnerable here ourselves. Putin has been threatening us, and I say that we need to shut our own borders first.
That seems like a sensible position to take. I mean, in terms of, okay, we'll provide aid to the Ukrainians in the form of humanitarian assistance, in addition to military assistance, weaponry. But this is an opportune time to leverage something the administration doesn't want to do with something that it does want to do. And the something it doesn't want to do is provide, and the same topic area, our national security interests. And the something it doesn't want to do is stop 2 million illegal crossings that occurred last year. So let's have a bigger conversation about that now. That's essentially your position.
Exactly. And also, we're going to be funding both sides of the war because they claim they're putting sanctions on Putin, but the real sanction would be to get our own oil going and quit buying their oil. But without doing that, we really are funded. We will give money to Ukraine while we're giving money to Putin.
Now, there was some promise that in this proposal that the Poles would provide their Russian MiGs to the Ukrainians, and we would backfill the Poles' air fleet with F-16s. That apparently has fallen apart. The State Department just essentially said it's not feasible. Do you know why that idea has not materialized?
Well, I think that they're discussing it, but I think the biggest thing to tell people that I want to tell people is that our national security is at risk and that the whole world has been destabilized because we have weakness. President Trump gave us peace through strength, and dismantling our energy production and opening the southern border has been so dangerous, not only for our country, but for the world. And then that Afghanistan withdrawal is disastrous, and they don't even want to talk about these things. All they're talking about is throwing money now at Ukraine, but they won't cut off Putin's money.
Do you think it's laughable, though?
And then
Yeah.
laughable, send Kamala out to Poland
I know.
to solve the problem. Total joke.
Well, do you think it's, I was going to ask you, do you think it's laughable that Biden's just blaming Putin for the rising gas prices?
Yes, I hesitate to call people liars, but these people lie. They say one thing, but their policies are another. They might say they're for Americans, but the border is open. They shut down our energy independence, and we're looking at $7 and $8 fuel prices. And I know my fellow farmers in our area, we are very unsettled about what's ahead. Fertilizer prices have doubled, fuel's up. We have supply chain issues getting parts for our equipment. And so now Americans are in pain over gas prices. Wait till food skyrocket.
Right. Biden clearly seizing this opportunity. I mean, it makes perfect sense politically for him. Gas prices are going to go up anyway. You might as well ban Russian oil imports, get the political benefit of that, and provide some cover so you can point the finger and say, the reason you're paying $5, $6, $7 at the pump is because of Putin, not me. That's essentially what seems to me he's doing. Not that I'm opposed to not importing Russian oil or importing resources from any of America's enemies where we don't have to. But this should have been done 2 decades ago, and it's a failure of the D.C. political establishment, both parties.
Yes. Well, the biggest thing is we need to get our own energy production back at work. President Trump did amazing things for our country. 2 things that Biden did on day one is open our southern border, dismantle all the great work President Trump had done down there to secure our border, and then he dismantled our energy production.
Well, and too, as you were sort of pointing up, I think Molly Hemingway may have said this on Fox, so I don't want to expropriate her work, but it is rather interesting, the juxtaposition. Trump was some sort of madman, according to the left, who couldn't be trusted with his finger on the button, and yet we were enjoying peace in the Middle East, of all places. Now we have Joe Biden, and in year one, after that horrific withdrawal from Afghanistan, we actually are talking about, in serious terms, the potential for a nuclear strike because the war effort from the Putin perspective isn't going so well.
Well, President Trump's policies were the best for Americans. America First was the best. It's still the best. But the other thing is they were good policies for the globe. What are we seeing now? Instability around the globe.
She is Mary Miller. She's a congresswoman from Southern Illinois running for re-election. Mary, people want more information on your campaign. They can go where?
To Mary Miller for Congress.
MaryMillerForCongress.com. Mary, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, you too. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
The following is a paid political announcement.
When Richard Irvin decided to take on Pritzker for governor, he wasn't following a whim. He was answering a long familiar call to duty. Irvin joined the Army out of high school, served in Desert Storm, decorated for bravery. Surviving a brush with death in a dangerous war zone, Richard dedicated his life to service because he loves his country and knows how fragile freedom and security are. As a prosecutor, Irvin put thugs behind bars, drug dealers, gangbangers, 1,000 convictions, hired more cops and cleaned up crime as mayor, balanced budgets, passed property tax relief. When riotous looters came to town, Irvin shut them down. He knows we'll lose the country he fought for if the radical woke mob takes control. Irvin says all lives matter, that schools shouldn't teach kids to be ashamed of their color or country, that we'll take our state back if we have strong, service-minded leadership. And that's Richard Irvin, our next governor, paid for by Irvin for Illinois.
All right. As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of their life. And he didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow and the sheets. Oh, no. Mike's changing the game with his 6-piece towel set. The set is made with USA cotton, making it extremely absorbent, yet still providing that soft feel you look for.